the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
7 o'clock, we have a quorum. The chair, Dave Everett, sends his regrets. He had a personal family matter to attend to, so unfortunately he could not be here. We're going to start with item number 1, public hearing regarding the area variance. The applicant's here, so you're going to. So how we generally start it, well, I guess we want to have a motion for a public hearing. 10 minutes. Want to do minutes first?
Yeah.
We can do the minutes first. All right. Sorry, we'll cut you off. So October 27th minutes that were emailed to the members. Any comments? Changes?
No.
Do you want your motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the October 27th, 2016 minutes.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to recuse myself. I wasn't here that day. So that passes. 5. Okay. Motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so I'd like you, if you don't mind, just start off for the board and the public, just what you want to do, what this is about, as best as you can explain it.
All right, my name is Dale Whittam. I'm in the process of building a house in Malden Bridge at 532 Chatham Museum Road. There's a requirement for a variance on the septic system going into the leach field, and the county has already approved it. They have a 10-foot variance, we have a 50-foot variance. So the impact on the area is 0 because it basically parallels Albany Turnpike, which, unless they sell Albany Turnpike, has no impact at all on anybody. And the variance is needed because of the wells that are in place with everybody else along the street. All the wells have to be along Shaker Museum Road, so the leach field has to go out into my wide open field in the back of my barn. But I need to have a variance in order to, put that in. So that's basically it. And it's a requirement to have a public hearing. To have any questions?
Well, I'll take care of that. I got it, if you don't mind. Yeah, so first let's, all right.
Well, did you send out the required number of letters to the adjacent?
I did. I got 3. Well, I got 2 back.
Do we have them?
Do we have the receipts?
You have the
I have
receipts?
them.
Okay.
Can we have them? Would you mind?
Sure.
Is there any negative comments?
I just got this one was returned.
He just got the email, they don't have to respond.
Oh, okay, nobody did.
Yes,
But
they would
they
send it to
received
us.
the letter, whether they
Oh,
sent
that's good
it,
enough.
Okay,
yeah,
that's all.
whether they sent anything to you, I don't know.
That's all
We'll
you
take
do.
care of that.
Yeah.
And I just want to note that the file has the survey map and it has a Department of Health letter. It has the denial from the planning board, which is why it's before the ZBA. The Department of Health letter, by the way, says that it is suitable and that they approve it.
They have the denial from the COE.
The COE, right, because of the setback. I'm sorry. Thank you for that correction.
CEO, sorry.
So any comments or questions from the public, and please direct them to the board, not to the applicant. Anyone have any questions? Okay, any motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so one thing I did notice, you did fill out a seeker form. Did you fill that out yourself?
Which form is that?
Well, this is the form that's required. The form that was filled out was the old form, so for all matters.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can quickly fill that out, I would appreciate it. So for an area variance for residential, it's a type 2 action, so seeker review is not required. We like to have those forms in our file to make sure that it doesn't say anything that would clear out, that we should note. And then obviously if there's any further questions at that point from the board, we'll ask. If not, we'll go to a vote. So I'm going to do this back to you. We're not going to do that.
So we're doing a 37-foot variance.
Right. That's what we figured out
Setback, yeah.
last March.
Just taking
We'll make that in the motion.
from your comments.
Is this the upstate one? Which,
No.
or what's the place?
He had one that was filled out already, but I noticed it was an old form, so that's why I'm having you do the new one. So the secret form, this is 3 pages now. What they did was, the short form was 1 page that gave 0 information. That one.
This one? This is the old one.
No, this is the old
This
one.
is the old one.
This one, I don't know what that is. Let me see it, I'll tell you what that is.
That's a permit application.
This is a permit application which the building inspector denied,
Right.
which is why we're here.
Right.
So this is the old secret form. DEC has newer forms that they now actually make questions. It's 2.5 pages that are a little bit more helpful. Obviously, the long form is still much, much longer and in depth. That's for type 1 actions. But under seeker in the regulation 617.6, there's a very specific that says what you need to make it a type 1 action, what you need to make a type 2 action, or most actions are what's called unlisted. So one of the exemptions under type 2 is for area variance for residential. So that's what this fits under, which is why we don't have to do the review. If you want to, or if the board decides they want to do it, they can, but it's not.
617.6?
It's 617 for sure, I'm not sure if it's 0.6.
All right.
Candace, has anybody shown you the Department of State tutorials?
Yes.
Okay, great, yeah, because that's some really great stuff.
Called the cookbook, what do they call that, the DEC?
Oh, God.
If you go to their website, the DEC has, I think it's called a cookbook, I'm not sure, and it has, in layman's terms, the process of working through seeker. It's really very, very helpful.
All right.
And then it has legal forms and everything else.
Yeah.
Did everyone sign in the sign sheet? Thank you. See, the new short form is working. It's making me think.
I'm thinking I need to get my attorney to tell me what this means.
Hopefully not, but if you're not ready, we can always hold off. But I don't think you're gonna have a problem.
Oh, there it is. It's in the first folder.
Let me see what that's. So I knew that was an old form, this is 1 page, and the new form is 2.5 pages. That's part 2 already?
Yeah.
So this is not regarding the variance, this is just to tell you what I'm doing at the property.
Correct. Thank you. I have a question that I don't have an answer to. I don't know how you're going to approve those minutes. This month's meeting,
Proof what?
this month's meeting minutes.
Oh, I don't know either. That's a good question.
I didn't think if you weren't there, you really had to technically recuse
You
yourself.
didn't, you don't, we're going to have to even be there.
No,
Oh,
that, I just mean that
yeah, but you have to be pretty sure that what happened happened. Can you have these done before the end of the meeting today?
What happens if you don't ever approve them then?
You're going to have to speak to your attorney on that.
Okay. How about if we have them out before the,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow you're off, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure, I mean, I'm pretty sure technically you don't have to be present to approve. I know I recuse myself because I don't feel comfortable doing it, so I guess theoretically, it could be. You'll have to speak to John Wilds. Who, by the way, is a pleasure to work with, if you haven't met him.
I have.
John, he's a really, really nice guy. Just very easy to alliance. He works a little bit up north, just a really good guy, very thorough. I've worked on a couple of matters before. Adrian, that farm across from you on Hardican, that farm across from you on Hardican is the two ladies across the street from you on Hardican?
Chickens, the chickens and turkeys.
Oh,
Yeah, they're growing, yeah. I think they're doing
last
much.
year's just a bunch of beavers.
Last year they had beavers?
Yeah. Not this year.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what happened?
no, I don't know.
Well, it got fall time, well, the beavers decided to go somewhere.
You don't know.
And they wound up way up in back where Singapore used to be. And there's cats in this well, heifers, you take a pail of grain, you rattle and they come. Whereas beavers haven't seen anybody all year, they see somebody coming and they go whoop.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's gonna take off running.
And in the end,
They're going a lot faster than you
well, in
think.
the end, I think, what the guy again, he said, I can catch them for you, but I don't want nobody to help. I'll do it with my own people, and he got them.
Did he?
Yeah, well, he knows what he's doing, he's with a horse, and, you know.
So I have a case across the river.
Huh?
I have a case across the river where these cows on my client's property, and they can't get, they're hostile, they will not let anyone near them,
Yeah.
and, yeah. And
And
it's,
beavers are fine, and if you come to them every day, you give them a little bit of something to talk to them, they know who you are. If they don't see you all year, and while they have an electric fence, you have one wire.
right. Oh, yeah.
First one walks over and it's down.
We can expect granddaughters every day for that reason.
While we have time to, I have to say, Janice, out of all the years I spent here, your story about, you're the best, thank you. You made me laugh. This is great. Are we done with that?
Well, they get to the bottom.
But he's reading it. That's, I mean, I'd rather he did that than go through and check all the boxes he thinks he's supposed to check, so.
And then mix them up, some
Yeah.
you need a no, some you need a yes.
Yeah.
Marilyn, any more volunteers? Besides me and Elaine? I mean, any needs, any people that? No. You didn't ask that?
No, no.
Oh, no, okay. Good. Three's a good start.
Scratch, no.
Yeah. Oh, do you do the website for the town? Do you do the website for the one? We got it. Where did you get it? So we have to get an old form. If it came from home.
That's my point. lives here.
That's perfect. Took the control. Okay.
But he's not here. He got in the car 2 days ago. Chicago. It's only 94. It's taking 4 days to do it.
I mean, I'm impressed with my dad, he's 92 and he actually does, but I got rid of him years and years ago.
He's in Chicago tonight. My sister, not in Chicago, he's in Toledo. My sister flew in, they're staying with her cousin, and she'll drive the rest of the way with him. And he's coming back in January sometime.
Bless you.
My dad,
She's in her 70s, and she just thinks she can jump in and grab it at Atlanta.
oh,
I cannot do that when I'm
70, I think. I don't know when I was
70.
still, it's pretty
Close. Yeah, it's not the best health, though.
If you don't mind, I'm going to put a yes that this is permitted under zoning regulations.
Yeah, I had no idea, I wasn't sure what
It is permitted.
required that.
Building permit.
It means that the type of action is permitted.
Okay.
That doesn't speak to the setbacks or anything like
Yeah,
that.
it sounded like it was for commercial use permit.
Right.
Thank you. So anyone want to see it, it's with the answers that you would expect on an area variance.
Yeah.
Okay, are we,
so can we have a motion?
yeah, we're ready.
So I move that we approve the area variance. We're looking for a 37-foot variance. And I move for the setback on the leach field and septic. And I move that be granted.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone want to give any reasons why they're going to vote one way or another?
This is not, given that this is buried and it's not a terribly huge variance, then this is not uncommon for the neighborhood. The Board of Health has signed off on it, so concerns about setbacks from other wells are not concerning me.
And we've looked at several leach fields recently,
Yeah.
so this is not a new consideration for the board.
There's nowhere else on the property.
And would everyone agree to in weighing the town law criteria for granting an area variance?
Right.
Okay, so let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approved. Thank you.
Go and build.
Do I have to do anything?
What do I have to do?
I'm just going to give you that back. Do you want me to
Just
sign
need
this?
the building
Sure.
permit. Basically, yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm going to send it to the bank. That's what the bank needs, that's what this is all about. I just need the building permit to get them down to the bank.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, the next matter. Collins.
I have to go forward by that. I just need to know another reason.
So, before you start, I wasn't here last month.
Right.
My understanding based on the minutes is this is not yet indeed complete.
Right.
We've gotten materials were being handed out, at least I've seen before, about the citing the law in our zoning. you guys ready to move ahead? I guess the task for tonight would be that this be deemed complete. And normally we would schedule a public hearing. But I'll be honest, I feel a little bit funny doing that because I will not be here next month. And I don't feel my review should be in any way forced on any of the new members. I don't really know the timing of when the new members will come also, so I'm not confident even setting a public hearing would be the proper course. So that's just some thoughts. I could be convinced out of it, but I've been thinking about it a lot.
I feel like our job is to build out the file as complete as possible, but I'm not comfortable deeming it complete, given that I will not be the person making the decision. I think that we need to give the new board members the opportunity to review the file and let them determine whether it is complete or not.
Okay, Adriana's, Anderson, you will be here.
Right.
Do you have an opinion on whether or not you would rather?
I thought when they presented last meeting, that then this would be the public hearing for that.
No,
One at a time, please? One at a time.
because the application was not deemed complete at the last
They
meeting.
had to change the
We asked them for several things.
So now they have to go through that process again.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And this one's a little bit of a funny one to me because our zoning law is obviously incorrectly drafted.
Yes.
The zoning board has a right to interpret, and I would feel comfortable, but I'm not going to be here to do that through a public hearing. So it's, and I think a lawyer needs to be involved in what the ZBA could or should do in just regard to the language of 180-38.
And last month we sent some questions back to Mr. Quinn, and it looks like he has written a new denial, and that is what is being appealed tonight, but we also asked for the town attorney to weigh in, and I do not believe that has happened.
That's correct.
Well, our comments tonight too will be part of the minutes, so that the new board will have an understanding of where we stand.
Yes.
So anybody else on that particular issue? Any thoughts? Jeff, where
No,
do you?
I agree with JP. I just thought we ought to do our best to sort of complete, make sure everybody knew what the questions were, because we, as we said last time, we weren't sure about the questions.
So, do you understand?
I'm Denal Collins.
You're what?
I'm Denal Collins.
Yeah, no, but he looks like he's in charge.
He's the audio-visual expert. He is in charge.
So, do you understand? Unfortunately, the board is probably not going to make a decision tonight, being that there are several members. There's only 2 members on this board today
Yeah.
that will be on the board next month.
Right.
So we want to bring you as far as we're comfortable bringing you, so you have a completed application. The new board will then be able to review what we think would be complete, but then make that determination, and then we'd have to set a public hearing in order for them to issue a decision.
Okay, now did you all review the application I submitted December 1st?
That's this one that's in our packet now, correct?
Yes.
Right, because,
And that is for an agricultural structure. I was advised that there could be concurrent applications. So what I did is I made an amendment and I did apply. You'll see the old application was for an accessory use. And I was told that I could apply concurrently. So the new application is for an agricultural structure. And like I showed you in the very first page with 180-38, the classification of ag structure and the zoning laws that apply to that. And I also included the list of definitions from the town code, where you'll see a mandatory statement and a permissive statement in the same line, right here. And those words also appear in the same line in 180-38. So I know there's talk of a mistake, but I also see a chance for an intentional contradistinction, if you will. given the size of the hamlets and the town's dedication to allowing people to still farm within the hamlets. So I just like that to be said
Okay.
as an applicant. I am supplying a new application, or I supplied a new application on December 1st with a classification of the building that was slightly different from the regurgitated rejection of an old accessory use application.
So this board has a very limited purview, if you will. Our job is to look at actions taken by the code enforcement officer and either support them or apply variance to them. This is the permit denial that you are appealing. Is that correct?
No, what I did was I didn't appeal that denial. I supplied the new permit application.
After, subsequent to this,
What was the date on that?
this says.
November
November
17th.
17th.
Yeah.
And there's okay, so this is the,
Where's the new application that he's talking about?
It should be right there in your left hand.
this is the packet we were handed tonight.
You took this,
That was submitted December 1st.
So was this submitted to Mr. Quinn?
Yes.
And he has not responded to that?
He wanted, I think, it to be hashed out here.
Okay. So what I think we're at is, there's a lot of legal issues here. I know, I agree. So there's legal issues, so I think the comment that we could put in our notes that we believe that the town attorney needs to review this and opine makes a lot of sense. And if you'd like, I don't mind calling John and telling him that he needs to review the notes because there was a request specifically from the ZBA, if that's what we're agreeing to. I don't have any problem doing that. Anything else that you think we need just to save some time and while the applicant is here?
Well,
I'm just gonna make a note
I'm a
of
little bit confused because if there is a permit application before the building department,
We need a denial of
we
that
need a
application
denial of
before
that
it's before us, correct?
before we can act.
Do you understand that?
Can there be a denial granted with the literal interpretation you're looking at?
No, I don't know.
That's not for us to decide.
Right.
See how it works? The authority given to the zoning board under the state law as well as under the town code is we're an appeal, we're an appellate thing.
Yeah.
So we need the building.
You need to see an appeal.
We need to see a
A denial.
decision that you disagree with,
Okay.
and then we make an interpretation on that, if we agree with the building inspector or not.
Right.
And in this case, what we're saying is we believe that we're going to need help from the town attorney in making that determination.
Can I speak, sir?
Sure.
Um,
Your name, please?
Abby Mezek. When the date on the second application that we gave to the building inspector, I think was turned in a fairly timely fashion, and we did check in from time to time to see if it had been reviewed. And as of my last check, it had not. We don't know exactly why it wasn't reviewed, but we were hoping that it would be reviewed in time for this
Okay,
meeting.
I appreciate that. And we, of course, have no communications or authority to tell the building inspector.
I'm just saying that we had
Okay.
hoped.
No, I appreciate that. So that's where we are really right now. We're not going to go any further. I would continue doing what you're doing, call out to Mr. Quinn on getting something, and then dealing with it after whatever that decision is. Maybe he'll see a different decision that you don't want to appeal.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Yeah, so,
There's always hope.
okay. Oh, yes. Any other comments?
No,
So-
only that one of the things that we did ask for last month was a survey. And it looks like there is a drawing in here in this packet. Again, I cannot speak for a future board, but in the past, the board has asked for a survey to be done by a licensed.
Well, we did ask Mr. Tomaso, he was quite busy, but we also wanted to ask you if the survey could be simply from house to road,
Yes.
structure to road.
Yes.
If your datum
Yeah.
point
Yes.
can be the bin.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is about that,
All
absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, this would be adequate, except that it needs to be
Signed.
official and
And
signed by
signed.
somebody who's willing to go to court and say
Yeah,
this.
for any time this board has granted a variance, we wanted to have the exact measurement, so there would be no interpretation.
I understand. No chance for
Correct.
scrutiny.
And
Yeah.
the way we always did that is we required a certification, certified surveyor.
But you also sort of need to know exactly what variance you're looking for.
You're applying for,
If
right.
you're applying for, before you can know which measurement you need.
Yeah,
I'm
I would
applying
agree.
for 0 to 45, I think. 'Cause that's what that says.
That's
So
good.
none.
Mr. Tomaso, though, was very helpful, and we had an original survey of the property, and he was gonna annotate that.
That'd be fine.
That's fine.
And
Yeah.
it was actually to our favor that things were put off because he was busy, and he just wanted to make sure before we have to pay him for something that we perhaps don't need, that we knew exactly
You
what
do
you
need
want.
it,
Right.
And I feel that you've just made that clear.
Great. Well, again, assuming that
Following.
the code enforcement officer denies this application, then the next step would be for you to, again, file your appeal to this board, and they're gonna ask for that.
Include the survey with the appeal.
Exactly.
Okay.
So one last comment, I wasn't around. This board in the past has always asked if there are other ways for this to be worked out between the neighbors,
Yes.
that those discussions and communications be had. I know sometimes you can't. I drove by the property, I saw the silo, and I understand that. But if there are other options that might make other people happy, these are the neighbors you're going to be with all the time, I just ask that you look at that path and see if there's something there. And I'm speaking to both sides when I say that too.
It's reasonable.
Sure. All right, anything else on this?
No.
Okay, so this is going to be put off until...
May I ask one thing, sir?
Yes.
One of the things that we thought about in case the town, or I should say in case the building inspector does not see our way with the interpretation of the 0 to 45 feet, was a possible mitigation that we find not particularly appealing, but if it helps us to our purpose, which is to keep our grain bin in service for our farm, we would consider trying to make it into a mobile device. We've already talked to a fabricator about what would it take. We included in our presentation pictures of mobile grain bins, but with that said, if it were to be mobile, we would like to say that the likelihood is it would remain in the general vicinity where it is, because that's where the grain company prefers to fill it. But we are prepared to make it mobile, and if in fact it were mobile, would we still have to come in front of a board at all?
Well,
That's a question we'd like to put out
the
there.
first thing is you have to get the building inspector to determine if it's a structure. And my understanding from past history is things on wheels were not considered structure, but it's a different building inspector, so that's his determination. And if he so determines and you don't agree, then you're going to appeal that determination.
Okay.
And more the reason why you're going to need town council advice on this.
May I ask another question?
Sure.
Would it therefore be advisable that that contingency have its own application separate from anything else?
See, we don't deal with contingencies though.
Right.
But I mean, that separate approach, is that a separate approach?
Well, if you take that approach and the building inspector says it's okay,
Then it's,
right, then everything is done. Unless someone wants to appeal that building inspector. And obviously you would, someone else would. If the building inspector says no, then you have to pick what you want to do and what you think is the most winnable. You have counsel on this. You need your own legal counsel to tell you, which they think is the strongest case for you to go forward.
may we not submit them all concurrently?
I'm not sure how you do that because this board has authority over an appeal. So I guess if you had a denial on
We have
all
3
of those,
denials.
then you would be
Yes.
able to, but I'm not sure how you would do that unless you actually put it on wheels and ask the building inspector, but, that's for you to figure out.
Okay, fair enough.
I think on wheels was a good approach, because at the last meeting, they weren't even thinking about that.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, sir, you may not have been aware of that, but we did talk to the building inspector about that very, very early on in the process.
So just while we're discussing that, would,
He quoted, I think well, we have the
He
documentation.
does have the
There was an
in the
issue.
packet.
There was an issue, but,
so would that mean that it would still be there 365, 24/7?
very, very close to it, but not necessarily. When the bin is, when it has 3 ton of grain in it, it's really not the kind of thing we want to wheel around. But there may be times when either it doesn't have a lot of grain, when our animals are out to pasture somewhere else, we might be able to possibly move it. But we've had it where it is for a reason, and we would prefer to keep it where it is. But if it becomes a wheeled device, then it's a wheeled device.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're done with this application.
Thank you for hearing us.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
You missed some beautiful slides.
Yes, you did.
Sorry to see you all go.
We heard you last time, though.
I had to actually, I did a totally different
Oh, you
presentation.
did?
Yeah, now it's his, I was,
Yeah.
should let him do it anyway.
Thank you for the use of it.
I even included maps and wrote a laser pointer, but Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Merry Christmas. Okay, so before we finish, anyone want to say anything?
I have something I would like to say.
Okay, why don't we just give these guys 1 minute to get their stuff on? Do you need that to be unplugged?
We ought to do it.
It belongs to.
I gotta wait for that to power down.
It just belongs to the town. Oh, so just leave it?
Not the town.
Oh, yeah.
Just think.
Okay, Karen, this is not.
Wait for it to cool off.
It does need to
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
down, so.
Okay.
Oh, you're good.
Aaron, you're watching it, that's that cord?
For future reference, I define an adapter for new laptops, so you have to go from HDMI to this. And that's
You're
not
already way
included.
ahead of me.
That's not included in this packet. Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
With every delay your presentation will just get better.
So I just want to say, I don't know how appropriate this is, but since it's my last town meeting, I will take advantage of this. And I just want to say and repeat for the record, since there was all this noise in the newspapers and every place else recently, that my resignation from this zoning board was most certainly not because of any salary cut. And in fact, I think I found it pretty offensive, and I don't know where this rumor started about any of that, but I think it's offensive to think that any of these zoning board members would resign over a salary cut, which, and really we're talking $1,000 or something. In addition to the zoning board, most of the people on this committee have worked many hours as volunteers on all number of town committees and things on behalf of the town, or fire departments. I myself worked hundreds of hours on going back to the comprehensive plan, the zoning implementation committee, the citizens budget committee, and the Chatham Agricultural Partnership over many years. And of course, we all attend New York State training classes every year, which everybody does. And nobody's in this for the money. And I think that most of the members here would agree with that. My own opinion is that there seem to be a few members of the current town board, and I don't mean to suggest that it's all of them, but they just don't seem to understand necessarily or respect the members of the zoning board and the work that these people have done on behalf of the town. In some cases, there seems to be a personal agenda, not the best interests of the entire town. And based on my own experience, they don't even appear to have much interest in listening or learning anything different. There's been intervention in cases that are before the zoning board, and they appear to be willing to do that in the future. They have expressed their specific intent to us to replace all of these long-standing members. So, among other reasons, I'm resigning to let them go ahead and handpick their own members. I certainly have no desire to serve in a capacity where my contribution is not valued or respected. The work of the zoning board is to adhere to the zoning code and other town, county, and state laws while trying to best mediate the sometimes conflicting opinions and needs of residents, despite the fact that we are in a small town and we often know the people involved. If this is done properly, the town will always remain on the right side of the law. This board does not just make stuff up. We don't approve or disapprove of applications for friends or projects that we like or don't like. Decisions have to be based on law and facts. And in fact, the Chatham Zoning Board has not lost a case in front of any court that I'm aware of in many years due to this thoroughness and attention to the law. That's the last word on a job well done, I think, and I was happy and proud to play whatever small role I could. And I thank my fellow members, particularly our chairperson, who's not here tonight, for all their hard work and dedication to this board. I wish Candace a lot of luck, and Adrianus. I would like to thank Town Board Member Henry Schwartz for his support of independent boards and for his leadership on the Zoning Implementation Committee. I wish the Town Board all success in finding a group as committed to fairness as this board has been. I would also like to speak to a specific new policy that's been handed down from the Town Board regarding escrow deposits to be posted to applicants to this board. The town has long had a policy of requiring applicants to place money in escrow to cover unusual and specific expenses related to an application. But now we have a new policy that requires escrows in many more circumstances. I believe this change is improperly passing along charges to applicants for expenses that properly belong to the town, thus leaving the town less responsible for its own actions. And of course, this makes it expensive for any applicant to come to the town for help and will limit services to those wealthy enough to pay for them. In the past, the town relied on the expertise of the zoning board to limit legal costs. Now they will rely on the applicants. This is not good governance. Since we began with comments on the budget, and since I served on the Citizens Budget Committee for several budget cycles, I'll make a comment on the town budget. What amused and confused me with all the conversation about these salary cuts for the planning and the zoning boards was really how small an impact those salaries have on the town's financial situation. Yet there was very little attention in the press or anywhere else that I saw to the real problems that the board still needs to solve. I'm pleased at the town board's efforts to date to improve the financial situation of the town. They deserve all credit for giving this attention and putting what I'm told are very long hours into working on it, but clearly the hard work is still ahead. The small savings on the zoning and planning boards is fine, but it's only a small percentage of the town's budget problem. The real tough decisions lie ahead, and I wish them well on that. Finally, I'm very disappointed and most disappointed to see the town board throw out 5 years of work by the recent Zoning Implementation Committee that was tasked with writing the zoning code to make it conform with the comprehensive plan. For 5 years, a diverse group of people representing many different viewpoints from across the town, income levels, farmers, all sorts of viewpoints, worked to update the zoning code and ensure it conformed with the comprehensive plan and met the needs of all the citizens of Chatham. For reasons of their own, this board decided to discard that work and spend money to start over again. All I can say is that I'm quite sure the good effort by the many people who worked on the comprehensive plan and who then worked on the implementation committee were sure that those were in alignment and balanced the needs of the neighborhood and all the residents. I'm less convinced that this new effort will be as even-handed. Thank you.
Are we ready to adjourn, or is there anyone else?
I just would like to go on record as thanking Mr. Lick for his thoughtful words, and I would like to concur that I am in a personal agreement with everything that he has put forth tonight.
I'd agree. It's very good what you said, Jeff. I've been on for 18 years, and I felt that we could have added some input to the changes that the town made. I mean, after 18 years, we've seen a lot that happened, especially on the zoning. And I would have liked to have been asked as a zoning board to sit down and say, that the town would say, here's what we're thinking about doing, what do you think? But nothing. So I read about it in the paper, and that was my comment. I think we should have had a little more involvement, because I think we, not to wave our own flag, but I think we did do a good job. We didn't lose any cases. We had a great chairman who teaches zoning, and the town got him, you might as well say, for nothing. Now he's gone. Well, his term was up, so he wasn't renewed. But I do, I know the town has to make certain cuts, and they are doing that, and I wish luck. That's all I have to say.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to speak real quick if I could.
Sure.
I'm a Henry Swartz town board member. I can't speak for the whole town. I can speak for myself. I've worked with many people here on this board, and it's been a great pleasure. And it's been a huge loss to this town that we're going to lose you guys. I just can't say enough. I mean, there's, 100 years of experience that we made, all the years of experience you guys have got in this town. And we're going to lose that. No matter who we put on that board to replace you, it's not going to be equal to what we have now. You can't replace experience and the years of knowledge you know about this town. We'll never replace that, no matter how many people we get. And again, I just want to say thank you very much. As a town board member representing myself, not the rest of the board, but myself, thank you very much.
Thank you. Henry, I really appreciate it. Since I resigned, I have not gotten a thank you from the town, so I appreciate you saying that. Motion to adjourn?
Well, I'd like to say something. And it's unfortunate that you made the decision to resign. You were not asked to resign. And,
Whoa,
but I
yes,
accept,
we were.
excuse me. I
Dr.
accept-
Wapner asked us to resign.
I'm
He
sorry?
told me in front of you, he wants everybody on the board to get off the board. And you were there, Henry was there. So please do not be disingenuous about that.
I mean,
I've kept my mouth shut the
excuse
whole
me,
time.
Where was this?
This was at the interview for Carrie. In this room, you were in this seat right there. Wapner was in this seat, I was in that seat.
We planned to rotate members onto each of the boards. You all have decided to resign en masse, and that's a decision that I have to respect. But I want to express my personal appreciation for all your work, and what Henry said is exactly right. It's years of experience and dedication to the town, and you are owed a thank you. And I want to express my appreciation for that. So, I wish you all very well, and we all have to live in this community, and I respect you, and I hope you participate in the future in other endeavors with the town. So thank you.
Anything else before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
Don't let the door hit you in the back.
Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Really wish you luck.